Serious Sam, a franchise I both love and hate. On one side, it's a colorful game packed with cool secrets and one-liners. On the other, it's an awful, tasteless budget Call of Duty horde shooter with boneless weapons, no usage of the color wheel, no memorable one-liners, nothing. And now we have Serious Sam 4, a game that despite of its numerous issues is the best game in the franchise since the second encounter. If you watched my Serious Sam 2 video, you'd remember me saying, not only is Serious Sam 2 a building block for every shooter known to mankind, but it's also a building block to literally everything. Well, Serious Sam 4 takes some inspiration from that and pioneers Titanfall, Bruce Willis, Modern Warfare 2, Borderlands, Obama's presidency, and the Pyro from Team Fortress 2. The gameplay of Serious Sam has remained largely the same ever since its conception. It's a first-person horde shooter where you get big guns, an infuriating amount of enemies, and hold left mouse button while walking backwards. Not much can be done to spice this up, and yet Crow Team implemented a few things that make the whole experience much better. The first being the Syrian Artifact of Might, this game's skill system. Every so often you will find this box. There is no stake in the box, but there is an orb that acts similarly to the one in Doom 2016, except this one has a better animation. Each orb gives one skill point that can be allocated down the skill branches. The right branch primarily focuses on unlocking more melee options, like executing medium and large enemies. Sounds cool, right? Doom finishers in a Serious Sam game? Pog? No. It's only really useful against one enemy type out of more than a dozen, and you lose more health doing him than you gain back. I don't see this ever being a viable option within the Serious Sam formula. Aside from that, there are a couple of cool skills in the right branch, like the ability to ride wereballs and use objects as weapons. But much like the finishers, they're just a cool gimmick that really isn't worth going for, especially when compared to the left branch, which primarily focuses on dual wielding. We've had dual wielding in some past Serious Sam games, but never to this degree. You can dual wield everything from daggers, to cannons, to even schmixing it up. It's a great addition that spices up already decent weapons. Speaking of which, the weapons in this game are fantastic. Not just from a damage standpoint, but the whole package. The jibbing, the sound effects, the animations, it's all just so clean. Add on top of that weapon mods that are mostly direct copies from Doom, and you get some of the most satisfying weapons in the franchise as a whole. The final minor addition to the combat side of the gameplay is gadgets. They come in a few different flavors like health syringes, Obama drones, and decoys, just to name a few. But if you're ever tired of playing the game, you also have a portable black hole. With all that combined, the gameplay tends to stay fresh. Every level you're finding a new weapon or gadget to try out. Of course, they don't mean anything unless you have a good variety of enemies to dispose of. And luckily, Serious Sam 4 provides just that. Give or take, every enemy we've seen in past Sam games make a return, alongside new enemies like the Possessed, which are the new common enemy that rushes at you, the Vampires that make absolutely no sense because most of the levels take place during daylight, and the Zealot.
I like it, cut G.
The variety is in the enemy's appearance and how they approach you, rather than how you deal with them. If the enemy has a head, that's their crit spot, which is something new in the franchise far as I know. Aside from enemy variety, there is also slight level variety. In Serious Sam 3, you'll go through different levels, but it all look and feel the exact same because of the reused colors and lazy environments. In Serious Sam 4, you on occasion literally go through the same level you just went through, but backwards, and yet it feels like its own thing because of the vastly different aesthetic and altered layout. However, they are pretty linear and boring outside of their appearance. There is no swimming, getting through traps, or climbing to press some button like in the OG encounters. It's all just straight walk or straight ride. Also, the whole pursuit for a more modern or realistic vibe is... It's not special, interesting, or unique, and it's more likely to make the game run like shit. Just take a look at the second encounter. Look how much character there is in every detail. And then compare it to this sterile copy-pasted asset looking mess. On the bright side, the levels offer loads of side activities in the form of secrets and objectives. My favorite secrets are the ones that create a lasting memory. Alas, those are very few and far in between. Most of the secrets you'll probably miss in the game are terrible parkour sequences. And they're not terrible because of the pathing or anything like that. They're terrible because of the game's engine. Anything to do with precise jumping or movement in general just feels bad. Not to mention the reward you get for going through with them doesn't outweigh the amount of frustration they induce. The side objectives are a new addition to the franchise that I hope stays for every future SAM game. Instead of every level being a cut and dry point A to point B split by arenas, you get to make a few sly turns and receive rewards in the form of gadgets, attachments, or humorous cutscenes.
You must surrender now, barbaric ape!
One side objective even brings back something from Serious Sam 2, and it's none other than to wrap up the levels and gameplay in general, we have the OST. The soundtracks in this game are beautiful. Each one is a straight up banger that gives levels that extra bit of character they severely lack.
So, you want to hear a story, huh?
No.
The story of Serious Sam 4 takes place before Serious Sam 3, and is yet another rehashed sending mental a message trope that has been done to death in every other Serious Sam game. If you never played any, I'll spell it out for you. Start game. Kill loads of shit. Kill mental servant. The end. There's not much more to say about it, it's not interesting. But the characters are. Throughout the story you will meet numerous characters that will be a part of your squad, which comes with issues of its own, mind you. On one side, the characters banter between each other, giving engagements a bit of an uplift. On the other, they're literally right there playing the game for you. What I really liked is that there is a connection between Sam and the characters. He seems to value those around him, which is pretty special for a dude whose entire existence is one-liners. For example, spoilers ahead, the first character you meet in the game is a wimpy rookie by the name of Kenny, who during his first encounter with an enemy loses his shoe.
I lost my shoe.
And the other characters start making fun of him.
Nice shot!
Crap one-liner though. I lost my shoe. Dude, that doesn't even make sense.
Hey, Kenny! You come up with a good one-liner yet? Or are you still waiting for the other shoe to drop?
As the game progresses, Kenny grows as a character and tries to become more like the rest of the squad. All the while, Sam develops a soft spot for him and takes him under his one-liner wing.
Kenny! One-liner!
Abracadabra, lady.
What?
As with all good things, they come to an end. And when Kenny meets his, Sam says,
You know, I'm not good at this crap. Would you look at that? At least you got both your shoes.
Would have been funnier if he said something like,
Dead as hell. What shoes she got on? What shoes she had on her casket?
Eventually Sam gets revenge on Kenny's killer, and this happens.
With what hollow words will you immortalize this momentary triumph?
I lost my shoe.
He said it!
That bit of character impact is very minor in the grand scheme of things, but it shows that Sam is still human under all those one-liners.
Huh?
Overall, Serious Sam 4 brings back a lot of classic elements and greatly refines the Serious Sam experience. It's by all means a step in the right direction, but the road ahead is very, very long. I can confidently say this is an enjoyable piece of media, which is far more than I could ever say for the garbage that came before. That's why I'm gonna give this game a generous 7. That's about it. Slap like, slap wife, hit subscribe, and if you feel the need to go down to the comments and write some shit like "This is a pretty actually good game," I want you to shut your